Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora. Ian McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's been a long Tuesday, and I just looked at the cricket score before I stood up, and I can assure you the day's got longer. Anyway, back onto the bill at stake. It's not good. They got 380 odd, and we're about 20 odd without loss. Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure for me to take a short call on the Horticultural Export Authority Amendment Bill and to, I guess, outline some of the work that was undertaken by the Select Committee to get to the point we got to, and to explain the value of this bill to New Zealand horticulture, or agriculture actually, but horticulture in particular. So there are 9 horticultural-based export industries that operate under this bill currently, and as the previous speaker alluded to, there are a number of others that operate on the fringe of it and may well, as a result of these changes to the bill, come into it at any time they wish. The ones that operate under it currently are the avocado exporters, the blackcurrant exporters, the buttercup squash exporters, the chestnut exporters, and I bet you not many of you knew there was a chestnut exporters authority, kiwi fruit exporters, persimmon exporters, summer fruit exporters, tamarillo exporters and truffle exporters. And of course, Mr. Speaker, you would know well what was a part of this bill, as you were part of the Select Committee that dealt with it. Mr. Speaker, the object of this bill is to create I guess, extra value for New Zealand horticulture and to give them the opportunity to trade in a manner in the world market that enables them, I guess, to trade as a collective and in a strong environment. Whereas individually they'd be picked off in a world marketplace, collectively they have significant strength. And so this bill gives strength to that opportunity for them and enables them to compete in a world market that's very competitive. It's also worth noting that the horticultural exports from New Zealand have grown significantly in the last few years and continue to grow, and I think have reached some $4 billion now. But it's also worth noting that some of our environmental policies that we're implementing around New Zealand could have the impact or have the effect of limiting land use change in the future. And one of the interesting things with horticulture, as it grows very rapidly, and I think it's probably going to in the future be the significant grower in New Zealand agriculture, is that it needs the opportunity to acquire more land and to use more land as it goes forward. And some of our environmental policy around the country at the moment is precluding that opportunity. So that's a challenge for us in New Zealand as we move forward to get that resolved and to enable the horticultural sector to grow as it should grow. And if you think about our horticultural sector, the big opportunity for it is to put fresh produce into our markets. And so fresh produce into Asia some years ago would have seemed a distant hope. But nowadays, with modern transport and the very quickly cheapening air routes around the world, are enabling us to put fresh fruit and produce into those markets very quickly. So we can provide fresh to the supermarket door in Asia anytime we wish. And that's really the future for New Zealand agriculture and for New Zealand horticulture. So that's a real opportunity for us. And I think it's something that will be a priority for this industry. So the Horticultural Export Authority Bill enables the industry to collectively gain strength very quickly in that area. So there were some changes as this bill came through the Select Committee and through the Committee of the Whole House, which was very brief. The bill will be passed with the following amendments as recommended by the Primary Production Select Committee, and that's to clarify that a vacant office is considered an office holder being unavailable. You might think this is minor, but it also applying this change for the purpose of identifying who the alternative chairperson is when the chairperson is unavailable. Now, it does seem a little pedantic, but that nonetheless is quite an important change to this legislation, which enables those authorities to move with nimbleness, I guess. It also enables them to clarify that grade standards can be included in export marketing strategies. It changes the interval between proposals for amendments of tiers of export licence from at least 2 years to at least 1 year. It adds a requirement for the authority to consult the Privacy Commissioner before amending certain information sharing agreements, which is quite important and obviously a part of a lot of legislation we pass through this House. It also clarifies provision relating to fee and levy regulations. And Mr. Speaker, there was a supplementary order paper put forward during the course of the committee stage, and that was to add a levy provision to the legislation. The levy provision was necessary because a legal interpretation of what was previously thought to be fees, I guess, proved that in fact they were levies, and so that supplementary order paper needed to be added, and it needed to be added to section 62 of the bill, which changed the word from fees to in fact levies and fees. So, Mr. Speaker, I've got I guess the role of thanking my Select Committee for a great job, and as Reno Tirakartni said a moment or two ago, the Select Committee gets on pretty well with these things, and we got this done, and it's a privilege for me, or pleasure for me, to support this bill in the third reading as it goes through the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kia ora. I call Dr. Megan Woods.
Mr. Speaker,